Sagittarius, this is your love and relationship reading for July. And it focuses on those who are newly dating, or perhaps your relationship is not yet firmly established or on solid ground. Now, in the recent past, you have Queen of Wands and Domestic. And this Queen of Wands could very well represent you. It's this fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. If it's not you, it could be a sun, the moon, or rising sign of your partner. And you have domestic, and so in the recent past, domestic concerns were important. Perhaps, the environment you create in the home, how it feels, is it comfortable? On a physical, emotional level, maybe you were entertaining in the home, or you're focused on family. Home affairs are important, and there's a desire here to steer matters your way with regard to the home. Now, the Queen of Wands is someone who's very magnetic, dynamic, attractive, charming, and she tends to get a lot of attention. She may have, strong social connections. So she's very protective, very concerned about those that are close to her. And so you may have been highly attuned to domestic affairs. And again, maybe socializing or considering that, or trying to steer matters the way you would like them to go as far as home environment and property matters. Now, this could have been a time where you were receiving a lot of attention. Maybe you had people come to you that were interested in you. This would have been suitors, a lot of focus that put you at the center of things. And it was quite possible to, turn a situation toward your favor. And that's what you were seeking. Negatively, this Queen of Wands is someone who goes to great lengths to attract attention, to the point that she may sort of rub people the wrong way. It becomes an obsessive behavior that actually alienates people that are instrumental to the goal that she's trying to achieve. So there was some kind of recognition that you were seeking regarding domestic affairs where you wanted things to turn out in your favor. In the present, you have the World and frigidity. Now, for some of you, there may have been concerns about dealing with the world at large in matters connected to illness. Maybe you had COVID concerns, or maybe you just are looking at world affairs and thinking the world is a very cold place. Or for some of you, your partner may be someone from a very different background than yourself, culturally, religious, political, in whatever capacity. And you may have had a distinct awareness of the social strata. Now, that might mean privilege according to status or race or economic, conditions. Or it could be that you were freezing out the world, maybe, or your partner was freezing you out, or there's some issues here that affect confidence, perhaps libido, whether you were motivated to connect on a physical level. For some of you, this relates to health issues. And it could have been that you put a deep 6 on an opportunity for a second chance, or your partner did. Someone may have had very strongly defined boundaries. And so there were limitations, or a focus on limitations, what someone was willing to do or extend themselves or not. And so for some of you, a situation is coming full circle. This is the last card of the majors. And so you are closing out a major cycle and probably doing some kind of an assessment of what it's all been worth. There was the the desire for the best possible outcome. And you're taking a closer look at something that may involve issues of forgiveness or tolerance or opening to different perspective, different values, different belief systems. And so, but with frigidity here, some of you maybe you're traveling to somewhere cold. But for many of you, this was an issue with partners about differences, what you were willing to tolerate and what your limits are. In the near future, you have clarity and Four of Swords. So there's some clarity that's going to shed a light on things, or you're trying to figure out how to gain clarity. Maybe you want to understand why somebody froze you out or vice versa. So you're going within to contemplate, to get some answers, to figure out your next step. And if there's been some frustration, you're trying to put that to the side, to concentrate on matters at hand, to gain some greater clarity. And in the future, something is going to happen that will shed some light on some very important concerns, and you're going to gain greater truth or clarity about a relationship. Now, some of you, again, maybe you're going to understand why someone took a break or needed to step back from a situation. Others of you, if this is about traveling, you're going to gain some clarity about, the terms or matters connected to a vacation or travel or a trip. But this is more so about an emotional state of mind where perhaps you haven't been interacting, speaking to, or connecting to your partner. There's nothing going on, nothing's moving forward. You're going to come to a clearer understanding about that, and there may be some things that trigger some awareness, some light bulb moments where you suddenly get the big picture. Now, what kind of archetype will you be playing out during this period, or your partner? Now, this could be you taking on this role, or your partner, or it could be interchangeable, and either of you could be operating in the light or in the shadow. You have mother. So perhaps a mother is in focus, and that has impacted your personal relationship. It could be your role as mother, wanting to be mothered. It could be a connection to someone, seeking someone to become a mother. In the light, you have nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. In the shadow, smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. So there are issues here, getting some clarity about domestic affairs, whether that is from childhood, upbringing, or a domineering parent, or a domestic pattern of a partner and their style of relating. Something about mothering. Now, what is it that your partner may be thinking that you don't know? I keep trying to get your attention, but you haven't noticed. In some cases, this may be living as an adult and still seeking validation from the parent. Or it could be issues between you and a partner where, you're making decisions about having a child or the effects that children are having on your relationship. But again, this gets back to some kind of security issue where, there are issues between you about being nurtured and whether you're receiving that and what kind of strings are attached to that sense of security. The lesson here is I am willing to give and receive abundant love. And that's an important lesson, and there's often a lot of focus on the giving and not so much of receiving. And sometimes we do have to learn how to accept what's being offered, as well as how to offer our love to others. Your advice is like you mean it. So there must have been some kind of feeling here of insincerity or words that weren't backed by any kind of real action. Somebody is looking, it's one thing to say something, but it's more important to do something. And sometimes it's easy to forget that love is actually a verb. And so love means doing the things that express that love, that show the other person how you feel. So either you're looking for your partner to step up to the plate, to up their ante, or you need to do that. The underlying energy is perspective and Ace of Swords. Now, perspective here means there could be a choice to see something in the most positive light, whether that's valid or not. But it also means opening to perspective, because you had some other cards here about differences and important differences that may affect a relationship deeply. Child rearing, religion, politics, race, history, all of that may have a bearing on your relationship. The Ace of Swords says perhaps there's been some confrontation or conflict regarding perspective. Maybe someone is keeping, they're looking at something in a rosy light when there's really no truth to that. Or maybe they should see something in a more positive light. So there could be stimulating conversations that evoke some kind of awareness about self, about others, and about the world at large and your place in it. And again, it could be very confrontational. Some of it could get ugly. There may be a focus on agreements in some, hopefully nothing that's going in a legal direction. But this is the force of truth and putting something out there. It's mastery over the intellect, over communication, and knowing how to get to the heart of a situation, to cut away any of the crap, to get to the core of something. So for some of you, gaining some kind of clarity or truth may alter your perspective, or you may do that for someone else. You may do that for your partner. And if you can't do it effectively, that may devolve into some petty arguments or nitpicking or words that are extremely hurtful and pointed. So this is, like you mean it, may require honesty and truth, and if there's the expectation of gaining clarity between you. So your perspective, the other person's perspective, means that there's your truth, there's their truth, and there's the truth, and finding a way to meet in the middle is going to be important during this cycle.